Okay. Okay, this question is an easy pick for those who are comfortable with playing with percentage and fractions and reciprocals. Let's see. This question talks about movies released in Jollywood as on August 15, 2014. The first table gives the information about total number of movies which were released among five genres. They are action, romance, drama, patriotic, and thriller. The second table talks about the percentage of hit movies as a total number of movies again among those five genres. Next, it talks about the hit movies given by a famous Jollywood star STS as a percentage of total number of movies by him, and flop movies by STS as a percentage of total number of flop movies. All these figures are in percentage. It is also mentioned that every movie that releases in Jollywood belongs to exactly one of the five genres: action, romance, drama, patriotic, and thriller. And every movie that releases in Jollywood falls in exactly one of the two categories, either hit or flop. We can easily solve this data by creating a simple table. Let me write down the genres first in the column part: action, romance, drama, patriotic, and thriller. And in the rows I will write down total movies, then I will write down uh, hit movies, then I will write down flop movies, then flop movies by STS, then hit movies by STS, and total movies by STS. Now total movies data I have, we know that in action we have 192 total movies, in romance we have 250, in drama we have 300, in patriotic we have 77, and in thriller we have 216 movies. Now if we look at table 2, it says that hit movies as a percentage of total number of movies. Action movies were 37.5% of total movies. 37.5% in fraction would be 3 by 8. 192 into 3 by 8 would give me 72. So if I have 72 hit movies, that means 192 minus 72, that is 120 will be flop movies. Next, 36% romance. 36% of 250 can be easily calculated as 90. So there are 90 hit movies, that means 250 minus 90, that is 160 will be flop movies. Next, 33.33, that is one third. One third movies are hit movies in drama genre. That means 100 are hit movies and 200 are flop movies. Next, patriotic movies are 28.56%. One should know that 1 by 7 is 14.28% and 2 by 7 is 28.56% or 26.57. So approximately 2 by 7 of 77 would be 22, that is hit movies, and remaining 55 are flop. And 44.44, one should also know that 1 by 9 is 11.11 percentage. So 4 by 9 would be 44.44 percentage. That means I have to calculate 216 into 4 by 9. 216 into 4 by 9 will give me 96, and this will give me 120. So now I have data about total movies released out of those hit movies, out of those flop movies. Now I'll calculate flop data about STS. If I look at the third row, flop movies by STS as a percentage of total number of flop movies. So 10% is in action genre. That means of the total flop movies, that is 120 action movies, 10% were given by STS. That means 12. After that, 6.25%. 6.25%, one should know that it is 1 by 16. So 1 by 16 of 160 would be 10 movies. 12.5. 12.5 is 1 by 8. 1 by 8 of the total flop movies is given by STS. So 200 into 1 by 8 would give me 25. Next, 20%. 20% of all the patriotic flop movies were given by STS. That means 20% of 55 would be 11. And 5% of 120 would be 7. 6. Next, hit movies by STS as a percentage of total number of movies by STS. So this data talks about hit movies by STS as a percentage of total movies by him. Now in action genre he did a total of 50% hit movies. We know that he did a 50% of total hit movies. That means the remaining 50% should be flop. That means this 12 figure should be 50% of the total. That means remaining 50% should again be 12. So he did a total of 12 hit movies. Similarly, we have to calculate the other hit movies in the other genres. 60% hit he has in romance. So in romance genre he has a total of 10% 10 flop movies. So since he had 60% hit movies, he must have 40% flop movies. That means this 10 figure should be equal to 40% of his total movies. So 60% of his total movies will turn out to be 15. Next, 16.66% in drama. This 25 he had 16.66% hit movies in the drama genre. That means 83.33% should be his flop movies. That means this figure should give me 83.33%. That means 16.66% should be 5. 83.33% is 5 by 6. So he should have 1 by 6 as his hit movies. Next, 50% patriotic. Same data. If this is 11, this has to be 11. We can copy it from the action part. And 66.66%. He had 66.66% of hit movies. That means he had 33.33% of flop movies. That means this figure 6 should be 33.33%. That means the double of this, that is 12, should be the number of hit movies, that is 66.66%. We have hit movies by STS in all the genres. Now we can easily calculate the total. This is 24, 12 plus 12, this is 10 plus 15, 25. 25 plus 5, it is 30. 11 plus 11, it is 22. 6 plus 12, it is 18. I'll just mark a line here so that we can distinguish between STS and the total movies. Now we have all the data with us. We can move ahead with solving the questions. The first question is the total number of STS hit movies during the given period across the three genres drama, patriotic and thriller put together was. Drama, patriotic and thriller hit movies by STS. That is, I am talking about this figure 5, I am talking about this figure 11, I am talking about this figure 12. I have to add all these three figures. So these three figures put together will give me a value. 5 plus 11 is 16 plus 12 is 28. That means my answer is option A. Second, what percentage of the total movies released during the given period across the 5 genres were flop movies? For that, I need to know that how many movies were released and how many of them were flop. So I have to add this 192, 250, 377 and 216. On adding, I'll get the total movies as 1035. And for flop movies, I can easily calculate 120 plus 160 plus 200 plus 55 plus 120. This will give me 655, a total of 655 flop movie. So my calculation would be 655 divided by 1035 into 100. In such a question, I would advise students to give some time to this calculation, because if you can see that the options are very close, 62.89, 63.28, 64.19. Since the options are close, we need to find out the exact answer, and there should not be any compromise with the calculation. One should go with exact calculation. The exact answer is 63.28 percentages. Next, for how many movies was the number of STS hit movies at least 50% of his flop movies? Understand the question well. The hit movies should be at least 50% of his flop movies. That means hit upon flop, not total, should be at least equal to or greater than 1 by 2. So I can easily calculate this with the data given here. I don't need to find out the table for this. I know that hit is 50, that means flop is 50. Hit is 60, flop is 40. Hit is 16.66, flop is 83.33. Hit is 50, flop is 50. Hit is 66.66, flop is 33.33. I know that this value is 1, so this value is more than half. This value is 1.5, again more than half. This value is 1 by 5, that is 0.2. This value is again 1 and this value is 2. So I can say that out of the 5 genres, in 4 genres he has his hit movies at least 50% of his flop movies. So answer is option D, that is 4.